Good morning. It's really early. My sleep schedule is completely off, but it's Thanksgiving Day here where I'm at. Uh, so I'm going to start my Thanksgiving dinner food a little later on, and I'm making the traditional ham and turkey with candy yams, and mashed potatoes and corn and rolls and stuff like that. So, because you only eat like that once a year. So, um, hope everyone's gonna have a happy Thanksgiving. Um, but I wanted to make a video, um, and what I wanted to talk about right quick is gear review, and it's gonna be gear reviews whether it's a good gear review or a bad review. Um, Sometimes you have to take those gear reviews with a grain of salt, and you have to come up with your own conclusion, because I think sometimes people can form biased opinions based on other people's reviews, and sometimes other people's reviews may or may not be a good thing to follow. Um, you just have to form your own opinion, and I would say basically how you counter that is go get a second and third and fourth opinion. Sometimes people will have intentional bad reviews. There are bad reviews that are intentional because there's a hidden agenda behind it. Like, for example, they may talk bad about a product, um, because they are sponsoring a competition company that may be that piece of gear's competition. So, you just have to take it for a grain of salt. Prime example would be, sometimes there are people that will give some pieces of gear. Like, I'll give an example. I was watching a video of the Klartechnik KT2As, which is basically the LA2A clones. And he was giving he's saying that if you buy that unit, it was distorting real bad. And if you buy that unit, you're going to struggle with it simply because it was distorting. And he let you hear examples of it distorting. But then I looked at the comments, and there are people that said, I own 2 or 3 of them and don't have that problem. And then there are other people that wrote comments said, no, I have those units and I have 0 issues. Then another person wrote a comment says, your unit must be defective because mine isn't doing that. And I had to vouch with the people in the comments and making those comments about those Klartechnik KT2As or 2A2 KTs or whatever model. I have 2 of them in the rack, and I don't have those issues either. So it makes me wonder, did the guy even decide to even call Klartechnik or try to send it back to try to get another one? That unit could have been defective, or he could have personally made the unit sound bad because there's a hidden agenda. You just don't know. So if you're thinking about buying a piece of gear, I don't care if it's, they're going to always be the love and hate relationship between Behringer. Like me, I don't have much problem with a lot of Behringer gear. I don't have, where everyone that dogs Behringer, I don't have those issues with my Behringer gear like the people that are out there. So I ignore the ones that dog Behringer or want to give Behringer a bad name, because I'm not having those issues with Behringer stuff. But you have to be your own, decide your own, because prime example, for example, a very popular preamp. It's a very popular preamp, and it's an expensive preamp. It's like, I don't know if you can see with my shoulder. You can probably see. I got a pair of Avalon 737s. That's my number one go-to vocal recording preamp. My number one. So yet there are people that are recording studios, especially you hear a lot of recording studios that may give, I've heard this quite a bit from people that my nose, my tip of my, you get that little itch. I've heard people that were talking, there were engineers in Nashville that saying, we don't use Avalons in here in Nashville. We use like 1073s or whatever, APIs, whatever. Avalons aren't cool pieces of gear to own or whatever, right? I've heard that on video reviews, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing in the world to sit there and say the Avalon is not a cool piece of gear when it's really popular. I've seen that Avalon, I own them, and I've seen those Avalons in tons of pro level studios, and even Joe Correll, he's in Nashville, and that's one of his favorite preamps as an Avalon. So that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. But there are people, I've even heard fantastic Tales of Pro Audio. They were not really giving the Avalon a good remarks on it. I'm like, when I'm recording vocals with my Avalon, the vocals come out amazing. I was watching another interview. I was watching one, the guy named was Bryce. I think it's Bryce Young. I think his last name was Young, but his name was Bryce. That started Warm Audio. And what inspired Bryce to even start Warm Audio in the first place is he heard his microphones being ran through an Avalon preamp, and he was like, he could not believe how good the vocals was sounding coming through that preamp. So I'm like, wow, it's the same thing with, I was listening to one more, I'll throw one more example. When I used to hear Al Schmidt say he don't even use SSL boards, yet SSL boards are extremely popular in most top of the line recording studios, but he said he won't touch them. He won't, if it's not a Neve, he won't touch it. I'm like, so to end this video, because I'm not gonna make this a long drawn out video. I say this: if you ever run across a video and you were thinking about a piece of gear and someone is giving it a bad review, go try to find some other videos from other people. And if the only time I would not buy a piece of gear or not consider a piece of gear, if it's unanimous. If I watch one video on a piece of gear or whatever, and they say, "Oh, this thing sucks," and then you go another video and another person, "Oh, this is bad," another video, "This is bad," you keep getting that all over, no matter who it is, then you might say, "Yeah, okay, I might not get that." But if I go one video and I listen to a video and someone and they do a demonstration, like whatever, and they'll do a demonstration on a piece of gear, and I'm listening to it and I say, "Oh, this sounds," and they like, "This is an amazing piece of gear," and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute." Another person said it was. So is it good or is it not? Is it good or is it not? So, and then I find another video and they'll sit there and say, "Oh, this video, is, they'll say, "Oh, this video," another video of that same piece of gear, say, "Oh, this is an amazing piece of gear." But I'm starting to get where you get one or two, three people saying, "Oh, that piece of gear is bad," and then you get another 3 or 4 videos where they love it. Then you basically have to make the decision, to make the choice. It's the same thing with plugins and everything else. I'm like this. The best way I can describe it is like this. Not everyone likes mustard on their hot dogs. It's just what it is. Not everyone likes hot sauce on their chicken. That's just what it is. I can't stand hot sauce. I hate mustard. And I guarantee probably majority of the people that watch my videos probably love mustard, and they probably love hot sauce. They probably love spicy food. Me, I hate spicy food. I can't stand mustard. Like me, I have to have ketchup on my hot dog or chili. I can't stand mustard on a hot dog. The taste of mustard just to me. So the point that I'm making with this video is everyone has their things. Everyone has things that they like and they don't like. That's just the way it is. And that goes down to even software and even hardware. There are pieces of gear that people like, and there are pieces of gear that people just don't like. And you know, sometimes you have to ask yourself, sometimes when you think about pieces of gear, and like, why don't they like to me, it makes no sense to me why Al Smith would not like SSL consoles when I'm listening to the millions of records done through SSL consoles. So like, how can you not like an SSL console if I'm listening to the results of music being done on SSL consoles, mixed or even recorded through? You know, I'm like, you know, yet there are people that will sit there and say, no, there are people that say no. There are people that don't like SSL consoles. They like Neves. I'm like, so if you don't like the SSL consoles, the music was done through it, then do you not like the music that's done through SSL consoles? Because honestly, majority of most music that I've listened to, you can't tell what console that all that, you know, the music was made through or used or recorded or mixed or whatever, unless you look at the credits and find out the studio and find out what pieces of gear that studio actually has. For the most part, there's a whole bunch of factors to. Not every music sounds, you know, you can hear the difference in volume or EQ or low end or whatever in certain musics versus other music, but for the most part, you know, because sometimes music is mixed or recorded. It can be recorded on a Neve and then mixed on an SSL and then mastered through like a Shadow Hills mastering or whatever. Sometimes it's recorded through an MCI and mixed on an API and mastered. Sometimes it's recorded through an Audient and then mixed on an SSL and then maybe mastered at this mastering studio or whatever. Sometimes it's recorded through a Helios or whatever console, or like my Allen and Heath. Sometimes it's mixed through or recorded through, and sometimes it's recorded and mixed through the same console. You know, whatever the case, you just can't tell. So, I would say this, when it comes to gear reviews, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I would always sit there and say, if you're reviewing a piece of gear, I don't care what it is. I don't care who makes it. Alesis, Behringer, Yamaha, Avalon, Orban, I don't care who it is. It could be any brand. It doesn't matter. If there's a bad review, look for more reviews. If there's good reviews, see if there's some bad reviews. Do your extensive research and homework on a piece of gear before you decide to buy it. Because sometimes some opinions on gear, good or bad, are biased or intentional. So that's all I can say. So I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and enjoy your day. You have a great one.